Hey everyone, Brie Sodano here, personal finance expert, founder from Sheep to Shark. I'm super excited today because I am going to share with you some under the radar reasons that budgets fail, right? And so for most of us, we make the budget, we do the thing, we get the sheet of paper and the pen and we write all the stuff down, and then we don't actually stick to the budget. So if that's been your problem, that's what we're going to talk about today. So if this is your first time ever catching me live, please say hello so that way I can say hi to you and welcome you to the community. If you're someone who watches all the time, please say hello. The like or heart button for me. And if you know anybody that needs to see this video, please feel free to tag them or to share it. Part of my mission is to spread my message as far and wide as I possibly can, so that way we get to the real root causes of our money stuff. All right. My son wants to come say hi, so he's going to peek his head in here and say hello. This is my little guy. All right, go do something. Hello. Hi. All right. It's just easier to let him say hello. All right. So the big problem with budgets is that most of the time what we do is we get the sheet of paper and we write down everywhere that we want the money to actually go. So we say to ourselves, I want to save more. I want to take a trip. I want to pay this credit card off. I want to have money to do home repairs. And then we write it all down, what we want our money to do, and then we don't actually stick to it. So sometimes we'll put the money in the savings account, and then like 2 weeks later when the checking account gets low, we'll move the money back from the savings, or we'll put the money in savings and we'll use our credit cards or some other self-sabotage type behavior. So after working with so many people, I realized that there's some under the radar ways that these things fail, and I think it's worth exploring. So the first and one of the most important reasons why budgets fail is they don't match your identity. So if you say to yourself, I'm bad at money, I'm broke, I'm from a family, we grew up poor. If you have some identity issues where you've actually said the words, I am bad at money, I am broke, I am poor, I am whatever, I'm in debt, I am, that means that you have these associations on your actual identity. Why this matters so substantially is because our subconscious brain, the part of your brain that operates your actions, your physical body, your emotions, your fears, and all of that sort of stuff, it wants you to be congruent with who you believe you are. So if you say, I'm bad at money, and then you try to do things to be good at money, there's a disconnect between your identity and what you're doing. So it doesn't actually work. So sometimes you can, and this will happen if you'll know that this is probably part of your issue. If you make a budget and you can stick to it between like 2 and 6 weeks, and then down the drains. This also happens, you'll see this happening a lot with diets and weight loss. Like you can take on a new habit that doesn't match your identity, but you can't stick with it. You'll only be able to hang on to it for a few weeks. So one of the things that you want to do if this is a problem is you want to start to pay attention to the words that you say around yourself. You want to like literally make a list. Like, I am whatever, bad at money, I am this, I am that, and start to see where you currently are. So that way you can start to say, all right, well, if my brain is working to make these things true, am I capable of getting to my hopes and dreams? That's going to make a really big difference for you. So you have to be congruent with who you think you are. So if you want to make a lot of progress in your financial life, if you want to be wealthy, if you want to be somebody who makes $1 million a year, you have to start to put that on your identity as you're starting to take the actions, as you're starting to do these things. And you can literally just say, I am a wealthy woman. I make a lot of money. I am someone who is very good with money. I spend my money wisely. But when you say it with the word I, it tells your brain this is part of my identity. This is part of who I think I am. And then this is not super quick work. Like you're not going to look at the mirror and say, I am a wealthy woman and be rich 20 minutes later. But it does start to take effect. And it is quick work when practiced over time. So that's the first reason. So the second reason is that we will pick boring goals. So we have two parts of our brain. We have our conscious mind, and this part of your brain can read a spreadsheet. Maybe I went to college. This part of your brain can go forward into the future. It can think into the past. It does most of your thinking. If you have a part of your brain that says, "Did you make the kids' dentist appointments? Are you going to be on time for soccer?" That's your conscious brain. The subconscious brain, like I said before, is in charge of your physical movements. It's in charge of your body. Like your heart beats all day. You didn't have to think about it. You breathe all day. You didn't have to think about it. It's in charge of your emotions. And honestly, it's significantly, significantly stronger than the conscious parts of your brain. If you have boring goals, you're going to have a very hard time making choices to do that. So let me just give you an example. So if I say to myself, I want to have $10,000 in my savings account by the end of the year. For the subconscious brain, that's a very boring goal. It's very abstract. It doesn't mean much. So the subconscious brain is like, so wait, you want to forego pizza tonight so that way you could have more paper in a place that we don't actually get to see? Because that part of your brain isn't your conscious brain. This part of your brain is like, I would like to have $10,000 in my bank account because that is 2 months of expenses and I would feel really good about that accomplishment and da-da-da-da-da. Your subconscious brain is like, wait, you want to skip out on margaritas tonight in exchange for paper? No, that's silly. And that's part of the reason that a lot of times people, and this, you can use willpower to overpower your subconscious brain a little bitty bit, a little bit. So if this is part of your problem, you're going to blame it on willpower. You're going to blame it on willpower. You're going to be like, I want to do this. I just don't have the willpower. My coworker asks if I want lunch and I'm like, hell yeah, I want lunch. And that's why. So what I would always suggest doing is you got to have juicy goals. You have to have goals that are exciting, that are big, and that you have a mental picture associated with. So that way, when you're making the choices, when you're saying, all right, I want to save my money to buy a new house. I want to save my money to go on vacation. I want to do these things. That way you can mentally have a picture. So that way when you're choosing chicken wings today or plane tickets tomorrow, that choice is easier to make. When it's chicken wings today or some abstract number in the bank account, the subconscious mind has a real hard time getting grasp on that. And so oftentimes it'll choose the immediate gratification because it doesn't see the value of the other thing. So you have to understand how the two parts of your brain work together. This part of your brain is like, I want money in my 401k. I need adequate amounts of life insurance. Da-da-da. This part of your brain is like, I would like to have some sex today and a snack. They operate very differently. All right. So another under the radar reason that budgets fail is that there's incomplete planning. So everybody that has a budget, they know where they want their money to go. They say, Brie, I put the money in my savings account. I want it to go here. I want it to go there. The trouble is what didn't happen is they didn't say what they wanted to stop doing. If there's not an increase in income, the other half of that plan, and really the first half of that plan, is deciding what you want to stop doing so that way you have the money to redirect. If you don't do that, what will happen is your habits will be the same, and then you will end up having to sacrifice something that you actually really did want, and then you will hate your budget. You will hate it because it took this thing from you that's important. And a lot of times we have habit blindness. Habit blindness is a phenomenon that happens with money where it's like any spending underneath a certain threshold, you don't actually pay attention to. It's like this part of your brain doesn't actually get involved. So if you go to the store and it's less than like $20, you're like, you walk out of the store and you're like, how much did I just spend? I'm not exactly sure. But if it had been $60, you would have paid attention. You've been like, wait a second. So there'll be a little bit of habit blindness. So when you're deciding what you want to start to do differently with your money, so let's just say you want to save $500 a month for a sweet vacation next year. Well, that means that you're going to have to decide where the $500 is coming from. And I'll tell you, most people do not do that in the budget. So they'll say, all right, well, there's no money for snacks in the budget, But that's very different than looking to see where your money's actually going in the first place and then saying, all right, so I'm actually spending $500 a month on snacks. Do I want to give all of the snacks up? Yes? No? All right, because that's what you're going to change has to happen before you can redirect the money. You have to have the money to redirect it where you want it to go. So most people's plans are very much incomplete. They don't know what they want to stop doing. They don't know where their low joy purchases are. They don't know where their inefficiencies are. They don't know where they're wasting money on like little dribs and drabs. And so they don't stop the things that are the lowest sacrifice first. They end up having to give up big things if they want to achieve their goals. And then that makes the money feel very tight and restrictive and kind of awful. So if that feels like, if I'm talking to you, if you're like, she's in my soul, she's talking to me, what you want to do is first you want to get super clear about where your money's going. And I have a course on this. You can go to findyourbleed.com and it's like $10. It's amazing, amazing work. So if you don't have it, you might want to get it. And it's going to show you how to track your money. And then basically all of the places that I've learned from working with so many clients, I'm like, all right, so you want to go look for waste first, then you want to look for inefficiencies, and then you want to look for low joy purchases. And so you want to figure out what you're going to stop doing. So that way, when it comes to deciding what you are going to do with your money, you actually have the money available to do that. All right. And then the last reason that budgets actually really fail is that what they do is they move a money problem to a time problem or to an energy problem. Well, let me give you an example. So let's say every day I eat lunch at work. I actually work from my house, so I do. But let's say I order takeout every day. What I'm actually buying is the snack itself, the lunch itself, but I'm also buying time, or I'm buying mental energy. If I didn't have the capacity to plan, then I didn't plan, and now I'm buying lunch all week because now I'm actually hungry. So money often is buying an item, plus it's buying time, or it's buying energy. And I will tell you, being busy or being expensive or being exhausted, those two things are incredibly, incredibly expensive. So if I decide that I'm going to save money by clipping coupons, and now my grocery time, the time that I need to prepare for my groceries, goes from 10 minutes to make a list to 2 hours to make a list based on coupons, or I'm going to drive myself nuts going to stopandshop.com to order my groceries. Oh, that seems expensive. Can I get it cheaper on Amazon? Oh, that seems expensive. Could I get it cheaper on Whole Foods? Now a money problem has become a mental energy problem, because all those things take a lot of mental energy. So you want to be careful. So here's what happens. Normally when I'm working with clients, one of the first things that we do, the last process I just told you, where you go through and you start to figure out, all right, well, what's going on with the money? Are there any places that it's a waste, where I waste money? Where that's like literally like I pay for gym membership, but I don't go. Okay, get rid of it. I pay for music that I don't listen to. You want to look for that sort of stuff where there's literally no sacrifice. Then you want to look for efficiencies. So I'll tell you a secret. Nearly all of my clients, what we do is we get them out of the stores, because they've been trained to do so much shopping to get the best price on stuff that they're wasting their time and their precious energy going to Stop and Shop and all these other places to get the best price. So then they're exhausted because they just went to 3 different grocery stores. So now they don't even want a food prep. And then they order a pizza. You guys see where I'm going with this? Is this you? Has this ever happened to you? Right. So you want to be very careful in, like, if you're going to use money to save time, you want to do that on purpose. You want to say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a housekeeper. It's going to cost me this amount of money, so that way I can take that exact same time I would have been neurotically cleaning my house on Saturday, and I'm going to do on my food prep, so that way during the week I'm not ordering takeout. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. You want to be intentional with it. Same thing for mental energy. Like, when your mental energy is squeezed, you'll end up buying stuff because you literally can't deal. So like this maybe has happened to me, where I totally knew that I had soccer cleats that fit my kid, and I could have looked for them, but like soccer was like, we needed to go and I didn't already do it, and it should have been done, but it wasn't. And now I'm going to just run to the store it's because I know that there's a guaranteed success, where if I start looking around this house, there might not be a guaranteed success. So time, mental energy, and money are your three primary resources. So if you have a problem in your money and then you move it to a time problem, because being busy is expensive. And if you have a money problem and you move it to an energy problem, it's not going to work because being exhausted is expensive. So I'll see a lot of the clients doing a lot of overtime, and then they spend all the money that they make in the extra hours buying conveniences, or then they justify vacations, or they do other stuff that totally erodes the fact that they did all this working, because they're so exhausted. So they're buying snacks, they're buying other things. And it's like, if you just slow down, you could actually have you could have a better lifestyle because you're not going to be exhausted. And in our culture, we really value exhaustion. We really put a prize on busyness. Like, there's a lot of people in this world hustling for their worthiness, is the way Brene Brown says it. So you have to start to look. So like, if you're going to solve a money problem, you can't do it by creating a time problem or by creating a mental energy problem, which is interesting because most often when I'm working with clients, we get into their transactions, that efficiency piece usually saves money, time, and mental energy all at the same time. So I teach my clients to create like household systems. So like, I'll tell you, for example, I buy a lot of my household supplies, my cleaning supplies, my bathroom supplies on Amazon Subscribe and Save. So every so often, like coffee filters come once every 3 months. Like it, and then I manage the inventory. I usually like to be one ahead, so that way I don't ever have to be running to the store. So things like that, I think about it one time, I set that system up. Now it's systemized. I go grocery shopping one day a week. And so, I mean, I also get delivery, which I highly, highly suggest, because then it saves time. So then you spend the time meal planning, like thinking about what you're going to need. You put it into the app, the groceries come to your house, and then you have the energy to actually do the food prep. So when you look at all three holistically, it really ends up working out better. So if you're having a tough time sticking to your budget, a lot of times that's actually the real reason, is because you're like, I don't have time to manage this. I literally can't deal. I'm already managing my entire household and my business and my boss and the rest of all the things that we manage. And so one more thing to do is generally not the most helpful. So you actually want to start to look at all of those things as kind of, they're different, but you kind of want to look at them a little bit like the same. Like, well, where do I really leak mental energy? Where do I really leak a lot of time? And you want to start to tighten those things up, so that way you have the mental energy and you have the time to actually make the money stuff work. So anything that's just going to add a time issue, you want to avoid. All right. So those are some of the big, those are the big under the radar reasons why budgets fail. Most people think it's like a lack of willpower. It's not. Think they're bad at money. They're not, like, another thing that's like kind of funny is people will call and they'll be like, Brie, I manage millions of dollars at my job and I can't seem to do it in my personal finances. It's because your money has your emotions attached to it. Other people's money is just math. It's two different things. So people will think that they're not smart. And it's like, no, you're totally smart. This isn't a lack of intelligence at all. It's that you have so many conflicting things going on. You're not looking at the whole big picture. So if you just look at the money, clipping coupons sounds like a great idea. Going to the 3 different grocery stores to get the best prices sounds like a good idea. Shopping around, doing that, like that all sounds like a great idea. But in practicality, you haven't figured the fact that exhaustion, busyness, and feeling bad, feeling depleted are all things that cost a lot of money. So anyways, I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for hanging out with me. Again, please, if you want to share this, I'd so appreciate it, or tag a friend who needs to hear it. All right. I will talk with you later. Bye, everyone.